This guy really wants to impress his wife, so he hires some other guys to go and kidnap her so that he can come rescue her and look like a hero. What could possibly go wrong? Now, his name is Michael, and one day his wife, this woman, Shonda discovers that Michael's been cheating on her. So she kicks him out, and Michael gets pissed and defensive. He starts threatening her, and then he goes and he files for divorce. But then, all of a sudden, Michael decides he's changed his mind, and he really wants her back. But Shonda, she's like, nah. And so from then on, Michael tries everything he can think of to win her back. He threatens to release their private videos to everyone she knows, because apparently they made some adult videos together. But Shonda still says no, she doesn't want to be with him. And so Michael starts sending those videos to her family and friends. And when that doesn't work, he breaks into her house and he threatens her with a pew-pew. And surprise, surprise, that doesn't work either. Now, during all this, Michael's been staying in this old house that they own over in Mississippi. And there, Michael's feeling lonely and he's feeling sorry for himself, and nothing he tries is working. And that is when he comes up with his best idea yet to win Shonda back. He's gonna hire a couple of henchmen to kidnap her. Once she's kidnapped, Michael plans to swoop in and fake rescue her and save the day. And then if all goes well, she'll fall back in love with him. I mean, it's the perfect plan. There's no way this could fail. So he goes and he hires a couple of henchmen to play the kidnappers, and he buys some handcuffs and he rents a van. And then weeks later, Shonda's at home and her doorbell rings. And then she goes to the door and it's the two henchmen. And they're wearing delivery uniforms and they're like, special delivery or whatever. And before she can react, they pull out pew-pews and they say, get on the ground! And then they handcuff her and they force her inside the van, and then they speed away. And as they're driving, one of the henchmen holds a pew-pew to her head, and he rips off her clothes and he forces pills into her mouth. And she is so scared, she's about to pass out. Meanwhile, a cop just happens to be driving behind them. This cop, Chad. Now, Chad just got off work, he's on his way home, and he ends up behind the van. The henchman driving the van sees Chad, and then he gets up on the shoulder to get away from him. And Chad's like, that's suspicious, and he pulls the van over. But the van doesn't pull over. It speeds away, and it drives fast, and it pulls off the main road onto a dirt road into this swamp kind of area. And then the van gets stuck in the mud, because it had just rained. And at this point, the henchmen are freaking out. They're like, we didn't sign up for all this. And they just abandon the whole kidnapping plan, and they ditch the van, and they run away, and they flee to a nearby canal, and they jump in and they swim away. While Chad, he pulls up to the van, and he approaches and he opens the rear door, and there he finds Shonda in the back, naked and handcuffed. So police bring her to the hospital to recover, and they put her in a safe house. Now, the two henchmen who had jumped in the canal and got away, they didn't actually get away. They actually both end up drowning in that canal. So police find their bodies and they're like, what the f***? And they start investigating all this. And the first thing they find is the kidnapping van was rented in Michael's name. So this is already not looking good for him. So then Michael, he has to come up with another flawless plan. He's gonna fake some pictures and make it look like he can't possibly be involved in this kidnapping because he got kidnapped too. So he ties himself up, and I guess he beats himself up, and he sets up a camera and takes a photo of himself, and he texts that photo to Shonda as if he's one of the henchmen. And he's like, we just kidnapped your husband, and he pretends to demand ransom money. Here's the thing though. Police know the text couldn't have come from the henchman because the henchman had just drowned a few days before. I guess Michael hadn't gotten the news yet. So police know he's staging his own kidnapping, and they go out looking for him. And there's a whole manhunt, and it lasts around 4 days, and then finally they find him hiding out in a seedy motel. And they already have all this evidence against him, but here's what really screwed him. In that old Mississippi house he was staying in, he bought some of those little cameras to place inside for security reasons. But what he didn't know is that these cameras are the kind that automatically start recording once they hear noise. So anytime he was in the house talking, these cameras would come on and record him. So police end up with hundreds of hours of footage, and tons of it was him laying out his whole kidnapping plan. So anyway, police arrest him, here's his mugshot, he goes to trial, he's found guilty, he gets 35 years in prison. And most of this happened in Louisiana, so shout out to Louisiana.